Hey everyone, I'm going to be referencing another CBC article, this time in regards to the Humboldt tragedy. You know, that tragic accident that took place that took the lives of far too many people. And I mean, I'm not going to get into the politics of it or get into the fact that, you know, some people that will remain nameless. I don't really give a shit to give that person or any other people any kind of credibility or acknowledgement or recognition for their bullshit. But you've heard some political posturing that has happened, that taken place in regards to this tragic accident, this tragic incident. But now we're seeing time and time again. And I can't help but point out the reality. One thing I will point out right here and now is, ladies, okay? Especially you fucking ladies out there. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, exception to the norm. You know, there are outliers. But for the most part, ladies, you fucking react to things too much based on emotion. Emotion. And I get it. Listen, I'm a compassionate guy myself. You know, I'm one of those people that I don't fit into the pure manliness fucking sphere. Or the you know, like, I'm not a feminine, I'm not fucking gay in that way, but I do fit somewhere in the middle, somewhere where I'm very much manly in some areas, but I'm also very compassionate and very sympathetic, and I don't mind showing my emotions, right? I guess I'm a weird person in that area, in that regard. Guys look at me like, oh, you're a little bit sensitive in some areas, in some regards. And women look at me sometimes that you're too fucking manly. But it's like, I'm sorry, I can't please everyone at all times for all of eternity. That's never going to happen. Nobody can. But at least I will acknowledge that, you know, when tragic incidents and accidents happen, I feel bad for anyone that suffered needlessly or even died as a result or a consequence of these fucking incidents. I feel terrible for that because I automatically recognize and I have the ability to place myself in other people's situations. So, you know, think about the family members, how devastating it's going to be. The person that died, you know, it's not going to bother them at all. They're dead. But the people that have to live on and carry in their memories this tragic incident, it is devastating, and it's, I wouldn't even want to. Well, I've been in situations like that times in my life in the past, so I know what it feels like, and I don't ever want to go there again, although I recognize it'll probably happen at some point in the future too. So that's why I guess I have that empathy, and I can associate my empathy with the people that have had to deal with this particular tragedy. But then I see stuff like this, and it really disturbs me. Headline out of CBC News, Saskatoon. Widow appeals to Ottawa for mandatory truck driver training. Humboldt Broncos crash and her own husband's death prompt Patty Fair-Babij to organize victims' families. But once again, now I'll get down in the article. I'll read a little bit from the article. But like, holy fuck, what is with this woman? Listen, it's a tragic accident and incident that happened. But you know what? You know, fucking with other people, this collective and preemptive punishment, you know, in the hopes that somehow you prevent further tragedies from happening, it is never, show me at any point where you've actually prevented tragedies from happening by fucking creating or writing some decree where you fuck other people up, you know, or do this collective or preemptive punishment bullshit. No. Just like with drinking and driving, just like with all these other areas, like, you know, criminalization of drugs, just like all these other areas or venues or situations where people thought that they could just use authoritarianism, use the big gigantic gun in the room to threaten people, and that'll prevent tragedies from happening. It has never happened. And any fucking law, listen, lady, every law, and you need to understand this, every law is backed by the threat of force and fucking violence. So when you ask for a new law, you're asking people to use a threat of force and violence against people. You know, I'm sorry that your husband or your son or anyone else that you care about may have died in this tragic incident, in this tragic accident. But, you know, threatening other people with violence or force or coercion, that's never going to bring your significant other or those you cared about or those who passed away. That's not going to bring them back to life. So why try to turn to this methodology? Well, because once again, this seems to be the only fucking, the government, it's the only thing that a lot of these people acknowledge as a means to an end, to preemptively somehow prevent tragic accidents or incidents from happening. Wow. The widow of a man killed in a crash with a semi-trailer last year in BC is pushing for changes following the Humboldt Broncos tragedy. Patty Fair-Babij said the federal government should take over the training of semi-drivers and make it mandatory. She's encouraging families of those killed in semi-collisions to join her in pressuring governments. I've heard many stories, all to the same tune. Class 1 semi-licensing is so slack, she said. A hairdresser requires more training than someone driving across Canada loaded with however much weight behind them. People are very, very concerned. Well, let me just intervene right now before I even continue on. Listen, there are lots of competent drivers like myself that have never caused any harm or injury to anybody. But you know what? As the government and other people like yourself, like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, keep pushing for more and more intervention and taking people's license away for the most ridiculous and arbitrary circumstances or situations, well, it's just, once again, when you take away the most competent people's abilities and you take their licensing away from them and their ability to carry out those duties or those jobs, well, guess what happens? Is they're forced to fucking pick from second tier, third tier, fourth tier, all the way down. So listen, like I say, government is never the fucking answer. Using preemptive force, violence, or coercion is never the fucking answer, folks. Like I say, I could be out there fucking carrying these loads and maybe, you know, because I'm a person that cares a lot about these things, I was much more safety and defensive, like driving oriented than some of my counterparts. But like I say, the government don't give a shit. This is the fucking problem every time you create these fucking things where the government can just fuck with people. Well, you're fucking up good people. And those good people may have very well prevented shit from this happening. But the more you keep, like I say, the more you keep fucking with the good people because they do some things in their off time, like what I did, ride my ATV, and you punish them and criminalize them and make it so, like, I'm not a truck driver anymore. And I won't be a truck driver probably ever again in my lifetime because I've recognized now that they fucked me so many times in so many areas, in so many regards, and have made that task of just getting back to being a truck driver, that task is so insurmountable at this point that I just won't even bother now. I'm moving on and I'm going to do something completely different. So you can't, once again, you're not going to change bad things from happening. You can greatly shrink them and reduce them, but once again, you have to allow for the fact that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. That's why you have to treat each other as individuals. You have to treat any situation or circumstance based on the facts and the merits of that particular circumstance or that situation, and then go from there. But this one-size-fits-all, this constant clamoring for government to just create a fucking, like a piece of legislation, this one-size-fits-all approach, and that's somehow going to prevent bad things from happening going forward, well, holy fuck, folks. Like I say, that's people that obviously they're not even taking the time to think critically, and nor would I expect anyone that's, you know, under this kind of emotional distress to be thinking properly or critically. But the media seems to love running with this kind of narrative, right? Because maybe they will be able to use this narrative and appeal to your emotions and your sorrow for other people to maybe create new legislation to start fuck with people preemptively once again. Just screw up more fucking truck drivers and another field, another profession with which will, once again, you'll see time and time again, it's not going to help the situation. There's going to be bad shit that's going to happen in the future too. You know, so I don't know. Like I say, I keep trying to point this stuff out time and time again, video after video. One of my 600 plus videos now in the making, and I don't know. It's maybe helping change and correct some small, teeny minority of Canadians' habits or behaviors, but for the most part, I'm seeing out there is like everyone still wants to run to the government as the pretense, as the entity that they want to use to socially construct everybody's habits or behaviors, which once again just turns out to be a detriment, just turns out to be a destruction of individual freedoms and liberties. But I guess some people, I don't know, they use that as a pretense to sleep better at night because they think that they've done something and they've you know, virtue signaling to the point where they feel that they're benevolent somehow by fucking a whole lot of people over needlessly. Wow. Anyways, like I said, I'll put a link to this article in the description of the video below. But yeah, give it up, lady. Lobbying government to create more legislation. That's not going to prevent further tragedies from happening. It's Canadian Libertarian. and I love liberty.